Nissan management around 10 years ago decided that Nissan could get to a size of around 8 million cars. Nissan's volume never went beyond 5.7 million. We stopped the reliance in volume. The only way to improve our performance, unfortunately now, is to look at the cost structure. To make the company survive in the long term, this is something that has to be done. Well, this is a problem that started not 1 or 2 years ago. What is important to understand is Nissan management around 10 years ago decided that Nissan could get to a size of around 8 million cars. And as such, there were a lot of investments done, including capacity in factories, including human resource, including increasing the level of expenditure. However, Nissan's volume never went beyond 5.7 million. Our record sales was 5.7 million in 2017. And today we're cruising at around 3.5 million cars per year. The reality of our company is under the current difficult, harsh environment of competition where you have Chinese players becoming very aggressive, you have a lot of geopolitics happening. This is putting a lot of pressure on the market, so it's becoming very difficult to grow. So in the past couple of years, the main effort of Nissan's management was to try and recover volume in order to absorb the big cost structure that we have that was created 10 years ago. And unfortunately, we have discovered that this is very difficult because the context is very complicated. So the only way to improve our performance, unfortunately now, is to look at the cost structure. And this is what Nissan is focusing on, to fixing the fundamental cost structural problems that were created 10 years ago. Yeah, again, we're coming again from an area in which we were trying a couple years ago to improve the volume performance. Yeah, but the context has changed a lot. Between 2 years ago, China competition was intense, but was intense in China. We are now seeing Chinese players coming out of China very aggressively. So this is changing a lot the environment. On top, we have geopolitical tensions that are growing, by the week, including what is happening with tariffs today, which is putting additional pressure on the ability to grow volume. And this is what we have reset. When I became the CEO of Nissan, we looked at what the plan was, and we became, to understand that the plan that we had put in place before, in terms of cost saving and adjustment of the structure of a cost of a company, was just not enough. And we had to put more effort, go quicker and deeper into this cost restructuring effort, while at the same time, we stopped the reliance in volume. Because we were in the past trying to grow through volume and trying to absorb the big cost structure that we have today by increasing the volume, but this was impossible. So we come, unfortunately, from around a year or year and a half of giving bad news on the volume because of the situation in the market. Yeah, I think the plan is ambitious, yes, but it's what has to be done. Yeah, unfortunately, it's painful and is something that I don't think any leader would like to do. But if we want to keep Nissan for the future, and we want to save the larger part of our employees and the support that we give to communities worldwide, unfortunately, this is something that has to be done. So this is why we decided to go through with this restructuring of manufacturing sites, which, as you said, is commanding a change from 17 to 10 plants worldwide. And this will drive a reduction in workforce of 20,000 employees. So we will be reducing the level of workforce in 20,000 by 2027. And again, this is something very painful. This is something that we take with a lot of prudence, because there's many stakeholders involved, starting of course with our employees, but also we have local communities that will be affected. There's of course suppliers that will be affected. There's also government officials that are of course concerned on what we are going to do, but Unfortunately, for us to make the company survive in the long term, this is something that has to be done. It will be irresponsible for me to ignore the situation of a company. The situation is that we have to resize the company in order to save the larger part of the employment and the workforce that we have. Unfortunately, we have to resize and adjust in certain way the overall fixed cost of a company. Yeah, globally, we're looking at this globally because one of the, let's say, advantages of Nissan is that, yes, we are a very strong Japanese company, but we have a global footprint. And in today's environment, having flexibility geopolitically is very important because we don't know what will change in the environment, in 6 months, 1 year, 18 months. Many things can happen, just like tariffs came up. Yeah, when you have some flexibility in your manufacturing footprint and your coverage of markets around the world, you diversify the risk. And this is something that is good about Nissan. But the problem is we have big coverage, but we are also too big in every market where we operate. So we need to resize everywhere. So this is not something specific to Japan, it's something that we are doing globally. I don't have a timeline to give you because unfortunately it's very complicated. We have operations in many markets, as I said, and this adjustment of manufacturing will happen not only in 1 or 2 countries, but in several places around the world. And stakeholders are different. Local regulations are different. The stakeholder culture is different. So we cannot have one plan for every single location, like one plan fits everywhere. We need to go very specifically market by market and tailoring the plan for each of the locations in which we will be resizing our operation. Yeah, I think one important thing to understand is that the approach that we are taking is not to squeeze the suppliers to reduce our cost. This is something that is not sustainable and it's something that we won't want to do. Yeah, it's really a more open win-win approach that we want to have with the suppliers. So to give you an example, our Nissan standards have not been revised in a lot of time. However, the world has changed a lot. There's new materials, there's new processes, there's a lot of new technologies that are, making the cars more competitive in terms of costs. So one thing that we are doing is revisiting our own standards to change the way we do cars. And one of the key messages that I gave to the suppliers in this supplier conference is that our mindset is changing from Nissan knows better than you to you know likely more than us. So please help us understand, help us learn, bring your ideas, because in the end it will be a win-win relationship. What is good for a supplier is good for Nissan. If they can get more competitive, Nissan can get more competitive. And it becomes, a symbiotic relationship of growth and long-term business. It's by far not. It's really readdressing the fundamentals of how we build and how we spec cars. Well, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but what we're trying to address, as I said, are the fundamentals of the business. And unfortunately, the company grew its cost structure to a place where, we cannot sustain with the revenue that we are commanding today. And we came with a very clear plan to address the fundamental problems that Nissan has today. And we are determined to drive this plan. Nissan is a beautiful company. Once you give clarity to the teams on what has to be done, what the task at hand is, the people engages and they are very, very capable. We have a lot of capable employees globally that are really determined to bring the company back. And I'm happy to be a part of this. Not at all. It was really looking at the fundamentals of the business. As I explained before, we looked at the trend of sales that we have, the fact that we were unable of growing the past 2 years, and what you have left is the cost. And the cost is simply divided into fixed cost and variable cost. Is what you learn, in business school. And then we defined the key actions on both of elements of cost, the fixed part and the variable part. And then we came with the right measures, and that's how the plan was built. It was a plan built cross-functionally. It's not a plan that was built in isolation by me. We have a new leadership team that came in and helped me reassess the situation. We reassessed the situation and defined that what we had in the plan before was not enough and we had to accelerate. And the team is committed to deliver the plan. Yeah. The reason why we made the decision to stop the LFP cell investment in Fukuoka is actually quite simple. The investment was quite high, and it's a technology that is a commodity today. So you can find LFP cells in many parts of the world today. And what we decided was we didn't need to invest in that. So we decided, unfortunately, to stop that because of the current priorities that we have and the situation of the company. It's something that is unfortunate because I understand we have made a commitment before, but under the current context, we couldn't keep going with this. And instead, we kept, as I mentioned, the technology development of how we integrate the cells into the car, because this is what's going to give a differentiation as an OEM in the future. Now, with regards of how we go around investment, one thing that we have to be clear about is we are not compromising on engineering or product investment, because this is what fuels the business for the future. And this is what we are protecting, of course, for future growth. Then also we are protecting technologies that are differentiating and that are going to drive Nissan's future growth and sustainability. To give you an example, for example, you talk about battery technology. One technology that is very unique and can really be a breakthrough is the all-solid-state battery. Compared to LFP technology, is nothing to do with it. LFP is really more of a commodity technology today, while all-solid-state battery is really advanced technology that can make a breakthrough in the industry in the future. And we are protecting this investment because this can really become a differentiator and a technical advantage as an OEM. Yeah, I think the future of the industry is the intelligent car. And Nissan has great assets and great technology on this regard. As you mentioned, autonomous drive, but not only. Nissan is really strong in autonomous drive, but it's also very strong in software technology for the cars. And it's, of course, very strong on electrification, electric vehicles, and our e-Power series hybrid technology. So these are technologies that we will keep investing for the future, because the future of a car is the intelligent car. And Nissan is very well positioned to play a strong role in this area in the future. Well, in the short term, the focus that we have is to fix the company fundamentals, as I said. And this is where we're putting a lot of our energy. We will keep working with partners. Honda is one of them, but not only. We have, of course, Renault and Mitsubishi, our alliance partners, with whom we are working a lot on projects and in advanced technology for the future. And we will keep working with them. We have found that this is a very good, efficient way of optimizing investments for us, but also for them, and having a very competitive menu of solutions that we can leverage on for the future. Well, I don't have specifics to give you today, but we are indeed in the process of a strategic review, and we are looking at many options of partners. You can imagine, of course, we're looking at traditional OEMs because there's advantages on having some partnership with them, like leveraging synergies for development, for example, and economy of scale for components. But also we are looking at non-traditional OEM partners because you can learn on technology. You can learn also about different distribution channels and distribution technology. So there's many partners that Nissan can imagine working with. And the selection will be simply by working with the partners that will help Nissan enhance its corporate value. The partners that bring more value to Nissan are the partners that Nissan will be happy to work with. Well, Nissan, one thing that we have to understand is that Nissan is in a solid cash position today. So we don't have a cash problem. We have money in the bank. Yeah. There's a lot of speculation around this, and there's a lot of articles talking about Nissan, running to sell many things, but this is pure speculation. Of course, we have a free cash flow generation problem, and that's why we are addressing our cost fundamentals to start generating cash and to make the business sustainable. Of course, at the same time, we are looking at ways of optimizing our expenditure, and we are also looking at some assets that we are not needing. Yeah. There's maybe certain assets that we could be releasing because we are just not using them, and we can generate some cash from them. But this by no means that we are running out of cash or that Nissan is in a desperate position to do that. And in reality, I really want to fix the company first before engaging into any partnership or serious partnership integration discussion, because we need to have a sustainable company in order to be able of partnering in a healthy manner with anybody. Again, in the short term, we want to fix the company, and I think we should be in a strong footing in the next 18 months or so, once we have implemented the plan. After that, we will see if we need a partner. We are open to discuss with partners, depending on the context, depending on the situation of the world, which is evolving every day. We will see if we need support in some areas. We're open to discuss and have engagement with multiple partners. Again, there's a lot of speculation about Nissan not having cars. We have a lot of product out in the market. I can, give you some examples. In Japan last year, we renewed the Note, we renewed the Aura, we launched the Serena e-Power 4-wheel drive. We have just now started to release the new Leaf, which is an amazing EV. It's going to be one of the most competitive EVs in the market. We have talked about El Grande. We have also talked about the Skyline. So there's a bright future of Nissan ahead. There's so many cars. We have super talented engineers, planners, and designers that are working very hard every day to make wonderful cars to bring to the Japanese public and to make our customers happy, in Japan and around the world. For the moment, we have been focusing on the Nissan because this is a priority that we have in the short term, fixing the costs structure, as I said, fundamental cost problems that the company has. Once this is fixed, we have a bright future ahead because we are very capable of making exciting cars that can bring the customers to smile and to love Nissan the way they have loved it for many, many years.